Joystick Show.
How's it, sticklers? You know, it's the Joystick Show, where three brothers from Hawaii have gathered to talk story about things we've read, watched, and or played. Shakas and mahalos for sticking around. If you fancy what you hear, please like and subscribe on the platform you frequent. I'm your co-host, Drake. That's Scott.
How's it, my brother?
Your brother.
You my brother. How's it going?
We're brothers. Yeah, I feel pretty good. And just to let you know, again, our third brother, Tom, he'll be having surgery next Monday, and he'll be back early Feb. So just wait, okay? Be patient.
I'm trying, man.
Yeah, we want him back on so bad that we're willing to build a time machine to do it.
To go forward.
Yeah, in time.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could also go back in time too, but
maybe, huh?
Yeah. How many puppies?
Yeah.
Probably. Well, I mean, every time you teleport, it's puppies. So.
Oh, but if you apply teleportation to time machine,
yeah,
that's a lot of puppies. I think.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do. You know.
If it's for friendship,
the mills are for. Huh?
Huh?
Any hoosers.
Deep cut. You got to go back and listen.
So we've got, obviously, some news and trailers and reviews. On the news side, we'll talk a little bit about Season 2 of everybody's favorite Severance. We'll talk a little bit about a photo leak on Daredevil Born Again. Also, someone's been cast as Sentry. Stay tuned. As well as Supergirl. Oh my goodness. Trailers we'll talk about today are Despicable Me 4 and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire? ? And we'll review Wonka, Migration, and Masters of the Air. Wish. So, why don't we just get down deep into it, Scott? On the news front, Severance 2 has started filming. You enjoyed the first season of Severance. I also enjoyed it. It was very avant-garde. Anything that you're super stoked for season 2 wise?
Yeah, just answers to questions.
Answers to questions.
Cliffhangers.
Yep.
You know, just more of it. It left us
cliffhanger.
Just on the seat of the edge of our seat is what I was trying to say there, Drake. Thanks for
or like the seat of your pants?
Yeah, maybe I was combining the two. Seat of my pants? Is that a thing?
I think so. I mean, if you're sitting down, I assume you're wearing pants, unless you're not. Are you wearing pants right now?
Yep.
All right. Well, are you sitting on the edge of it? Okay.
Yeah, hold on a sec.
Yeah.
Now I am. Yeah, so season 1, left us just wanting more, and I'm excited to hear that there's a second season in the works. We got a still shot of Mark running down a hallway. So, you know, it's not much, but it lets us know that they are currently working on it, and I'm excited to see it. For sure.
There's going to be a lot of physical activity in hallways from what we know so far.
Yep.
I'm also excited. Like we talked about, the photo really doesn't show much, so all we can do is speculate. And when we assume, it makes an ass out of you and me, as people say. So we'll just move on. Daredevil 2, or I guess Daredevil Born Again, has brought back some characters that we did not think were going to be in the show. Deborah Ann
and Eldon
Henson, who play Karen Page and Foggy. They were on set, and like we know, the Defender series is now in the timeline, so all the Netflix shows are potentially in the timeline, are canon.
Possibly. It's pretty great. Yeah, there was a little clip of them walking down the street with Matt Murdock between them. Again, not much, but just seeing that lets us know that these characters are involved in this new show, which hints at the whole 3 seasons prior is canon, right? So that's pretty cool.
It is a nice thing to have like a multiverse type situation where now everything that's ever been can fit into the space, and there doesn't have to be separation. There can always be some interconnectation, which is not a word. It is interesting how we thought that these two characters, Karen Page and Foggy, were blipped, and now because they're back, they're potentially unblipped. So there's a lot of shenanigans. Anything is possible, right? You win one championship as a Celtic, and anything is possible. So I guess we'll look forward to that with what little we know, just like an individual running down a hallway. But on to, I guess, more exciting news. I shouldn't say more exciting, but on a different tangent, more lateral. The Thunderbolts has cast the Sentry. Now, before we go into who they cast, Scott, tell us who the Sentry is. And for all of you who are listening who don't know who the Sentry is, Scott's going to tell you what it is.
Cool. Yeah, let me just pull up that thing we totally prepared.
So just to preface, Scott's going to talk to you about the Sentry, who is essentially like Captain America, but like 1 million times stronger and can fly. Essentially Marvel's Superman. He also has, I think, mental health issues. He's a millennial. And he'll be played by who again, Scott Man?
He is being played by Lewis Pullman.
Ooh, what has that human being been in?
Bro, he's been in like so much stuff. He's been in most recently Lessons in Chemistry, which you may have heard about. It's a TV series. Yep. He's got a ton of credits here. Water Rises, The Kane Mutiny, Court Martial, The Line, The Starling Girl, Miles Teller, Great Balls of Fire, Top Gun Maverick.
Ooh.
He's in a lot of stuff. And he kind of reminds me of the dude who plays Spider-Man. Kind of looks like him.
Which dude? Tobey Maguire? Andrew Garfield?
No.
The most recent guy?
Most recent. You got it?
I don't remember his name per se. Why do I not remember his name?
Tom
Hiddleston.
That's right.
Yep.
The Country Holland. Yeah, we got it. It's Tom Holland.
But by the looks of Lewis Pullman, he kind of, if he's a little bit longer hair and can kind of get a little bit more blondie, his facial structure definitely is reminiscent of the Sentry. And in terms of who he's played and his acting prowess, I think that he's very capable of playing an individual who is on the edge, not necessarily of glory, but sanity as the Sentry.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
So, because before we heard that Stephen Ewan was supposed to be the Sentry, and then he dropped out. So
yeah,
they seem like they're even. There was another switcheroo. The lady from the Bear is not in anymore, right? What's her name? Ayo Edebiri got replaced as well. So
interesting.
I don't know. Hopefully, it's all for the best. Who's replacing Ayo Edebiri again?
I think in terms of like the replacements, not necessarily the movie, but what we're talking about right now, I assume that it's because either they already have schedule conflicts, or maybe they don't necessarily fit the role for them personally as actors and actresses. But Marvel has done a really great job at casting, probably like 97% of the time. So we'll just assume that it's for the best.
Yeah. Over here, Geraldine Viswanathan. Don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah. Interesting. Viswanathan. I would say because Stephen Ewan was replaced, if I had a feeling about it, it would not be sadness. Just because I think Stephen Ewan would probably do an awesome job as the Sentry. But I think does kind of make sense to bring in new individuals into the fold. And then when you have more connective tissue kind of worked out through bringing in these lesser known actors and then allowing them to become larger, you can bring in already big actors to kind of help make the future projects even larger, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what they're doing in Supergirl as well. They've got a powerhouse actress who was recently not unknown, but got into a prominent role in House of Dragon. Millie Alcock is now Supergirl. And for all intents and purposes, she looks like she could be a Supergirl. We've had some really great Supergirls. How do you feel about this casting?
I mean, I really liked her in that Game of Thrones spinoff. So
Yep.
that's all I know her from.
Yeah.
She did great in that. So I think she'll do a great job. That's as far as I got for that, though. I trust James Gunn. I enjoy all his movies and his renditions of his comic book movies thus far. So I think it'll be pretty good.
Yeah, it's got to be good. I mean, just to see new faces, especially in things that we've seen them in, it does kind of feel like comic book movies, they get a bad rap for not necessarily being, as artistic as other, directors and producers may claim. But it is a really awesome means to bring actors and actresses into a medium that we can all enjoy. Right? Because some people don't want to watch, Gone Girl as like a nightcap, right? Or other movies that have a lot of dramatic depth or maybe are a little bit more cinematography driven, and being able to see someone in an action-packed Marvel character that we already know and love and follow. That's kind of cool. So keep doing that. Scott, do you want to talk about our first trailer, Despicable Me Cuatro, or 4 for individuals who don't know Espanol?
Cuatro.
We both watched the trailer. Do you think this is going to be the best one?
I don't know if I can say it's going to be the best one, but I can't say that it's not going to be good. Like, the trailer itself looks really good. We have all our favorite characters coming back. And also a new character. It looks like there's a new baby involved. His little son, who, when you see in the trailer, like, he has a frowny face when he looks at Gru, but then when he looks at the mom, he's like all happy and everything. But it looks like a really fun movie. Drake currently looks frozen on my screen there. I don't know if he's probably frozen. Okay, well, yeah, come to think of it, he looks a lot like the baby in the trailer. I don't think he meant to look that way. It's funny how that worked out. The more I look at it, the more I keep laughing. Oh, fuck. This is so funny. Yeah, follow us on YouTube to check it out. You can see Drake's face and that little baby face he made. Nailed it. Unintentional. That's how good he is, guys. He's the best. But yeah, Despicable Me looks great. Illumination makes solid movies. We'll be talking a little bit more about Illumination later with one of our reviews. But I was just saying, when you got frozen, you look like the little baby. Yeah, in the trailer, and it was pretty awesome, dude. You should do it more.
I agree. I thought the baby was a good addition. And yes, viewers, listeners, technical difficulties. I may have to pay more money for a higher speed internet.
That's all good, man.
Because, I don't know, technology can't keep up with my needs. Any Hoosers. It was interesting how the baby kind of didn't really like Gru in this situation, and how we got another villain who kind of came back into the fold. There's a lot more stakes, I think, with the baby. And I think there's been Minions movies, but I do enjoy the Minions kind of being a part of the family as much as them being kind of separate from the whole situation. I give the trailer an exciting out of exciting or not exciting. So a yes versus a no.
It's pretty good then, huh?
Yeah. So it was a 50-50 shot. It won in that situation.
So fucking stuck the landing, it sounds like. So get out there and watch it.
Yeah.
When it comes out.
I think if you remember from our Christmas special, how we talked about icicles and how they're multifaceted. You can use them as, a popsicle, or you can use them as a weapon. In this latest trailer of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, there was a lot of icicles, but
you saw a lot of weapons.
You've seen, it's just step. So from what you've seen in that trailer, are you excited for, I guess, this Ghostbusters movie? It was a lot. There was a lot of visual stuff, but I'm excited to get your take. Tell me what you think about it.
So this movie's called Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire, and it looks really fun. Actually, we got all the original guys that they could get back who are still around.
Alive, yep.
Yep, and they're suiting up along with the newbies.
Did you say the newbies
and newbies, not boobies? Oh. There are some boobies, but they're all covered up. You know, it's a family film.
That's fine.
But it looks like a fun movie. The CG looks on point. The main baddie looks creepy. Kind of like reminds me of like Diablo. Kind of. It was crazy when you see in the trailer where they come up and it's like installing its own horns on itself.
Yeah.
That was pretty creepy. But Bill Murray's in it, which is great. He's got his like one-liners. We got a little taste of it in it, and it's funny.
Kumail Nanjiani's in it.
Kumail's in it. Yeah.
We'll talk more about that.
It looks good. Yeah, we'll go back to Kumail in a later review. But yeah, what do you think about it? I'm excited for it.
I think I do. I enjoyed the OGs, so I like seeing the OGs. You know, all up in it. I do like seeing that, like Finn Wolfhard, and the newer, younger characters. Emily L. Lind are in it, so it's kind of like an evolution, and hopefully maybe they'll take over because you can't have Dan Aykroyd and all the OGs in it forever, right? Ernie Hudson's gonna eventually get too old for this shit, even though that's a different person. I understand that's not Glover, and it's not Ernie Hudson. Ernie Hudson,
still fun to say.
Wasn't Ernie in the Congo? The movie?
I think he was. It's been a while. They
really need to redo Congo.
But, I was gonna say, like, I read this article recently about movies doing like a lot of cameos nowadays, and like really focusing on nostalgia, and maybe sometimes it's distracting to the story. But I think in this case, it like works out great because it, like you're saying, it's an evolution. Like, so it makes sense for these characters to still be there, and for this new crew to move in. So I'm excited for it. It's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait to watch it, and I think as viewers, you can't wait to watch it either. So we'll just make that decision for you. Okay.
Yeah, I can tell it. They can't wait.
So I can't wait. So we're gonna go straight down into reviews because we cannot wait to review things. I believe we've watched all the things. So let's just go in reverse alphabetical order and talk about Wonka first.
Go for it.
So I watched this movie because it was available to me, and I thought I loved Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka, and I tolerated Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka. Right. And in this Wonka, we love us some Timothée Chalamet. He's very nice to look at. He has the voice of like an angel. If you like Willy Wonka, you're gonna like this movie. If you like musicals, you're gonna like this movie. If you don't like musicals, you're gonna watch this movie. You're gonna be like, I wish there was less singing. And that's me. I didn't know that there was gonna be that much singing in this movie. Right. And I don't want to say it was fine. It was fine. The singing was fine, right? There are moments where like, oh, this is warranted. I like this. And for me personally, I wanted to see more of the Willy Wonka buildup. And I know you can speak a little bit more on this, but there were parts in time where you got to see where his magic and his reverence and his genius came from, but it was so small and very tinkery and not necessarily backstory as much as it was a conflict between his chocolate era and the previous chocolate era. It was definitely darker than I thought it would be, which I enjoyed. I wanted to see, I think, more of that kind of dynamic versus dark like chocolate. Cats singing, right? What were your thoughts? Dark chocolate.
I didn't see the movie, but I saw the trailer and I saw it was going to be a musical, and I was a little iffy on it. That might be one of the reasons why I've been kind of hesitant to watch it. But I do like that you said it's dark, like chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
That's one of the things I liked about the original Gene Wilder version of Willy Wonka. I liked his kind of like, I don't give a fuck about these kids. Like, they're all brats. sort of thing. And he was just like, you know, like when the kids are like, no, help them. He's like, oh no, we'll do something. And he's like, really like, doesn't care. Or the creepy tunnel song, or like, you know, there was like this thing about him that was just like, you don't know where he stands because he seems like a really nice guy, but then he's also super mysterious. So I am a little more intrigued about watching this movie. What's his name? Timothy. Did he have a good voice? Like I never heard him sing before and whatnot. So
he had a good voice. I'm pretty sure he was singing. He has a very theatrical musical voice. Like if he was in Broadway, I would watch that. Okay. Other things to note that so they go a little bit more back into like Slugworth's history. Yep. And spoiler alert, there happens to be 3 chocolate kingpins that are running the chocolate in the town. And the chocolate is seen as like a sugary treat that's almost currency. And that's how they're treating it in this genre. You also have Keegan-Michael Key, who plays the chief of police. He plays a larger role in it as well. Mm-hmm. And you get Matt Lucas. Wow, that sounded like I had a stroke. Matt Lucas, who was Prodnose, who was one of the chocolatiers. So you had Fickelberger, Prodnose, and Slugworth. And those are all kind of relatively familiar names within the candy world in Wonka. There was also the Oompa Loompa it wasn't strange, but it was way smaller than Oompa Loompas were in the original, and I believe
that freaked you out.
It freaked me out because it's like, well, so how did they get bigger? Like, you know, why so tiny? Almost like Elf on a Shelf or like gnome-esque type, size.
Yeah, so a lot more step ladders, huh?
Yes, and it was I forget what the person's name is. He's a British actor.
Hugh Grant.
I immediately remembered with voices in my head, and he does a really good job with the banter with Timothée Chalamet and kind of like the overall story and arching of it. But in terms of it's, do you remember all of the Dr. Seuss CG movies?
Yeah. So I really enjoyed those.
Yeah, those are super awesome. You get to go kind of into it, and there's deep notes and drama, and there's story arc, etc. And there is that in this, but I would say that the Dr. Seussian portion of it, even though we know Dr. Seuss to be relatively dark, those were a lot more light with like a dark undertone because as adults we can see it. Whereas Wonka, there is darkness within it. There's pretty much like espionage, to an extent, kind of like murder, slavery is in this as well too, blackmail. There's a lot more of that in here, front facing, with the notes of, this is about Wonka. And there's a lot of callbacks to Wonka's factory, the golden ticket. It circles kind of around Wonka's love for his mother and how he became to love chocolate because of his mom. So there's a lot of good notes in it. But again, if you fucking hate musicals, you are going to watch this movie and be like, why are they singing right now? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Do you think the musical element made it lighter? Like if it wasn't a musical, would it feel even darker?
Agree. Yeah. So with that,
it's for the kids.
Yeah. It does make it lighter. So I guess in that sense, it's more all ages, right? All age or ager. Which makes sense in that perspective. So if you're able to change your perspective quite easily, and see and be open-minded, then yes. If you don't enjoy the singing makes it lighter. So just, think about it in that light.
Okay, I'll think about that while watching this movie. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's migrate.
Let's do it.
Migration. It was a movie. It's about ducks. My name is Drake, right?
Yeah.
And that's another name for a male duck.
Yep.
And I happen to like ducks. I wanted to own ducks, but I'm going to own chickens because ducks make a lot of noise. They require water, etc. Anyway, I was like, it's a movie about ducks. It's Illumination. The cast is pretty bee's knees, right? We've got Kumail Nanjiani, who you've seen previously. Elizabeth Banks. Isabella Merced. Yes, please. Danny DeVito. Awkwafina's in it. Keegan-Michael Key is in it. Carlos Alaquasi is in it, who's a comedian, if you don't know. So the cast is banging. You watched it. Scott, tell me what you thought about Migration.
Yeah, Migration. I actually really enjoyed it. My bar was set pretty low for this. I didn't even know it was Illumination before going into it. Then when I see it pop up, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe there's something here. And it was better than I thought it was going to be. I really loved Uncle Dan, the character, Danny DeVito. Yeah. You can hear Danny DeVito in it, but it's still a little different where I was like, is that fucking Danny DeVito? Like, and his Uncle Dan character, so even the physical comedy in this was funny, where he's like staring down Aquafina in the end and he's like before he flies off, like the, I don't know, just like the way Uncle Dan just looks physically hilarious. And he's just kind of, it's like a family with Kumail and Uncle Dan, and like they live on this lake. And the whole premise of the movie is like they pretty much never migrate, and these ducks fly in. They're like, hey, we're gonna migrate to Jamaica, and they're like, we're not gonna do it. Kumail's like not adventurous. We're not gonna do it. And then Pam, Elizabeth Banks, is like, she's adventurous. She's like, I'm tired of like not living life. Like we gotta get out there. And then, you know, Kumail decides like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And then thus adventure ensues. Yeah, it was fun. They ran into like a chef that wanted to kill them. Yeah. And in doing so, we got to meet another one of my favorite characters, played by Keegan Michael Key, was a parrot from Jamaica.
Delroy from Jamaica.
Yeah, his character was so funny.
So hilarious, dude.
Yeah, Aquafina plays her character is called Chump, and she's a pigeon from New York. And her name is Chump, but every time Kumail said Chump, she thought he was calling her Chump, and she'd get all pissed off. And like,
so funny.
Well, you know, funniness ensued there. But overall, I thought it was funny. It was a good movie.
Was it? Did you like it?
Are you sure about that?
Are you
sure about that? I thought it was good. It's low stakes. You feel like just throwing on some kind of, if you enjoy like Pixar-esque movies or like other Illumination, like Despicable Me and all that stuff, like it's an easy watch.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing crazy. There's comedy in it. Yeah, it was a fun time. It was a good time.
In terms of like my literal migration and getting to know a little bit more about like what ducks or waterfowl do when they're incorporating winter, and like how they have a natural navigation system within them, and bloody bloop bloop, like those things as a animal lover or enthusiast. Lover sounds real bestiality. It's
he froze an
real good.
I think what Drake was trying to say is he loves this movie and he's gonna watch it again and again until he can't get enough of it. Okay. I know he'll come back and say this, but we were talking a little bit off recording, and he mentioned that hearing Kumail's voice out of the lead duck was kind of like, it just didn't match as well as you might have liked. You just couldn't help but picture Kumail, and I agree with that. Though Kumail is very funny, so like the way they had the duck doing certain things felt very Kumail. So in a weird way, for me, it worked. Like if Kumail was a duck, like this is exactly how it'd be. But I guess I agree. Like out of all the voices, I could definitely see like Kumail and then all these other like birds. So that was a little weird. Other than that, it's hard to predict what Drake didn't like about this movie. Based on what he was just saying, if he expects this movie to be some sort of documentary and to really tell you what it's like to migrate as a duck, this is not that movie. It's a children's film, and you know they try and keep it light. So a lot of craziness happens in it, and you know it's not realistic. Let's see, froze again. Hold up,
I froze again, and I'm back.
Here we are. We're back, baby.
Woo!
Yeah.
Nothing like having internet that you pay for that does not work.
I was trying to predict what you didn't like about the movie, so yeah, let's hear what you got now.
So did you hear when I was talking about migration patterns of waterfowl?
I heard you say you were an animal lover.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I got up to.
I am an animal lover, but that sounds really bestiality, so I'll say animal enthusiast.
There you go. That's where it cut out.
Had a lot of zoo books when I was young. I think in terms of like being able to take very regular things, but like naturistic things, bring them into a way that you can not only learn about it, but enjoy it as entertainment. That was really cool. To see ducks in an environment that you don't normally see them in the city with Chump and the rest of them. And then also kind of giving a anthropomorphic idea of a family of ducks trying to get to a place and evolving, right? If, you know, anthropomorphizing things in general makes us feel for the animals and the characters, etc. For me personally, Kumail Nanjiani's character, Mac, I just could only see Kumail in it. So it kind of just threw me off a little bit. And Elizabeth Banks also has a very recognizable voice. And Pam and Mac's conversations, I just saw those two. So it took me out of watching ducks fly together in the Mighty Ducks. It took me out of that when I heard their voices, which is not bad. It's not a criticism. It's just something that I experience as a person listening and watching the movie. Yeah. So,
I think I did enjoy the growth of the characters though. Like they had a little bit of a Finding Nemo sitch where like if you watch Finding Nemo, he wants to do stuff. The dad's kind of overprotective. And this Mac or Kumail is very overprotective, and like he's able to grow along with his family, and like the sun gets to shine at one point and prove that he can like bring stuff to the table, and like they all kind of there was a lot of like good family moments in this film, and growth as characters. So, I like that aspect of it.
Definitely, I would give it a as a family movie. I'd probably give it like a 6.5, 7. Is that fair?
Okay.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I thought you were going to give it a family movie out of a not family movie or something.
Oh, yeah. Like that. I mean, 50-50. 100% it was a family movie.
Yeah, right? Okay, good. So
unless you're an animal lover, then it becomes more. So
depending on what degree, it might not be for you, but just like a regular person that loves animals in a normal way, you love it, right?
Yeah. If you have an animal, you'll probably like it. If you enjoy ducks, whether you like to eat them or watch them or pet them, then you'll love the movie. I mean, pigeons. Yeah. On the spectrum of family movie or not, it's a 100% duh.
Duck? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Duck. yeah. Quack, quack. You know what I mean?
So funny. I agree. 7.5 probably for me.
7.5? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a beak of fresh air. That doesn't make sense in a sentence. Anyway.
You tried, though. I love it.
From one flying machine to another. I guess a duck isn't a machine. We were going to talk about Percy Jackson.
We're spiraling now, dude.
But what's up? We didn't. We're not going to talk about Percy Jackson because Lin-Manuel Miranda was in the last episode, so we're just going to skip that one altogether. We're going to move on to Masters of the Air, which if you've watched Band of Brothers, this is another installation within that realm universe. It was Band of Brothers, and it was the Pacific. Now it's Masters of the Air that focuses mostly on planes, no trains, but planes are technically automobiles.
Yeah.
And the first episode was super epic.
Speaking of spiraling out, man, this is fucking damn. This show is like, it's shot really good. I like the CG is really nice. Love the cast. The cast is killer.
The cast is so bananas.
The way they throw you right into the trauma action, the traction, if you will, is like crazy.
Would you say?
Yeah, sorry, go.
To your point, the trauma action, right? Yeah. Like if you've ever been in a plane crash, there's probably a lot of trauma.
Yeah,
it's a lot of trauma. So. If you've ever been in a plane crash, people listening to our podcast, you're going to want to think twice, put yourself in a good space. But if you do watch it, you're going to love the cast. Scott, do you want to talk about some of the biggest names in here?
Yeah, give me a sec. I swear I had it pulled up. What's going on here, man?
Yeah,
Dropping
I know.
the ball again.
Do a thing.
Okay, so we got Austin Butler and
Wow.
Caleb Turner as like the two mages in it. It's weird. They go by Buck and Bucky, but their real names are John and Gail, and they have a whole backstory explanation on that, and it's like a running gag. We also have Barry Cogan in it. He's Lieutenant Curtis Biddick. He does a great job in this too. I feel like every time I see this guy in a thing, he's like a totally different person, which is great. I feel like the closest thing to this character was almost that one he did. Oh my god, I just had the name. The one with Colin Farrell and
Sirens of Earshun.
So I don't think it was Sirens. What was it called again?
Oh,
Banshees.
Yeah.
Well, similar, but yeah, Banshees of Aaron Shearer. But yeah, it's similar to that. Like he's kind of like a. Although that one he was like really dumb. In this one, he's like kind of. He seems like a simple dude, but he's. I really like his character. He's great. The whole cast is great. Dude, but the way they shoot the action is cool. Like it's so good. It's movie quality. And you are again at the edge of your seat. You're just like, yeah. The thing that was crazy in this was like when after you see the first character, Caleb, go through, or Major John go through it, and then he lands, and he's the dude next to him is like, "I know your friend's coming in. Don't tell him." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, just let him experience it." And I was like, "That's fucking crazy!" Like, and then he does it, and then his friend lives through it, and he's like, "Why don't you tell me?" He's like, "Didn't know what to say." And I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe that's a thing, but I would tell you guys. I'd be like, "That was fucking nuts, dude." Like, I don't know. I wouldn't just be like, "Well, if we live, I'll tell you about it." Or, well, I thought that part of that dialogue was weird, but maybe that's just a thing. I don't know. But other than that, super solid show.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of. It's coming off of. What is it? It's not like connected, but it's the same people who brought you Band of Brothers and the Pacific, right? Yeah. So it has that sort of feel to it. Yeah, that vibe to it. And it makes me want to go back and watch those things.
Yeah.
Like I know we were talking a little bit before. I didn't watch the Pacific, and I don't know if I finished Band of Brothers, but I think at the time there was just some other shows going on. But this makes me want to go back and like watch those while I'm waiting for this next episode to come out.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Band of Brothers was the invasion of Normandy, and the Pacific was essentially the Philippines and the other Pacific islands, that theater. And this centers mostly on something that's super awesome, which is a flying fortress. If you are not a World War II buff, figure it out. And as you're watching this show, or just in the first episode, you got to see so much intricacies to what a flying fortress is, which is essentially, it was a B-12 bomber. There's 2 pilots. There's a navigator. And then there's, I believe, 6 guns, and they were capable of carrying thousands of pounds of bombs, right? So this was like, B-17. It was one of the workhorses of the time. And to see, you saw all the different aspects of where all the gunners were, 2 side gunners, 1 rear gunner, 1 bottom gunner, 1 top gunner. Those types of facets as it pertains to, if you're not about World War II or you aren't into planes or military type things, you get to really see an in-depth way, and also the emotion of another human being, another American in that situation. I really enjoy what Band of Brothers in the Pacific and now what Masters of the Air are doing. Looking forward to more episodes, obviously. Band of Brothers was not necessarily slow, but they did a really good job at establishing the characters and making you care about them. And that's the same for Masters of the Air. You feel you have at least a little bit of information about each character, who they are. And so you're going to be able to watch them change over the course of the season, whether or not they live or not, whether or not they aid in the survival of their crew and or are a detriment. All of that is going to kind of be roller coastering. And also, too, we haven't seen anything that's focused around flying. Here and there, you'll get kind of small things, but not necessarily as in-depth and not necessarily in the World War II theater. So I'm really looking forward to more of these episodes. I know Thomas is also watching it, and he's definitely loved it. He's the one who turned us on to it. But I guess from what you've seen so far, Scott, and what you know about Band of Brothers, like, does this intrigue you a little bit more about WW2? Does it make you want to watch it more? Do you like it?
Yeah, I think overall I'm really intrigued. Yeah, and of course this makes me want to like. Of course, this is like a dramatization of like we're seeing stories that no one knows actually happen up there. Dialogue that's not recorded, but the events overall that we're seeing are like what happened. But this makes me want to go and like maybe check out some documentaries on it, look more into it, actually see like the maybe history on some of the actual guys that were in it and whatnot. It's like it is really intriguing, and like it's crazy. Like they were all just like really young dudes, like going into a situation they had no information about, and then just like experiencing it, coming out, and they can't go home. Like it's just it's a crazy reminder of like, I guess how lucky you got it. I'm like, I can't imagine being thrown into that situation, and then just like, okay, we're gonna do it again, and like. You see so much craziness going on up there. Every time they fly up, they like lose people. Yeah. So it's fucking bananas.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really intriguing. And I love a good drama. That's what this is. It's really good. And again, yeah, it's shot well. The cast is crazy good.
Cinematography is so delicious.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, and I care about all the characters. Like, and they all got their own little thing. Like, they have the navigator that gets airsick.
Yeah.
And, and you're just like, fuck, man, pull it together, dude. Don't.
Yeah, dude.
Like when there's a part where he ends up putting them over a location they're not supposed to be at for a bit, and they get put into a tight situation, and you're like, oh, what the fuck, dude? Like, and so next time he's navigating, you're like, don't do that again. Like, you're anxious for all the characters, and
stakes are high.
You hope they all live, and it's
but they ain't. Yeah. One of the things too that stood out was all the cannon fire from surface to air.
Yeah.
Typically, when you think about like a missile or like a bazooka, right? It goes up and it explodes, and you think to yourself, "Oh, the explosion is like the shockwave, and that's what's kind of creating the damage." But really, it's almost like a claymore that's being launched up into the air. It explodes, and all the shrapnel is what's tearing apart the planes. And when they land finally from having to scrub that mission in episode 1, and they pan out with Butler's character kind of coming out of the vehicle and being like, oh man, that was close. And you saw how much damage that plane took. And that was a mission that wasn't successful.
Yeah.
So stakes are high.
Bananas. And was it the first episode where the bottom gunner shrapnel came in like through the bottom and like stuck next to his head? I'm like, that's fucking nuts. Like,
and it's so cold up there that when he tried to reset the machine gun, he froze his hands and they burnt because it's freezing.
He wasn't wearing his gloves. Yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah, they're like above 10,000 feet or something, right? They gotta. It's nuts. And then what is it? One of the dudes. Because I watched the second episode. I know you only watched the first one, but the one of the parts he had like burns on his legs, and the doctor was like, "Yeah, you got to remind these guys like it's cold up there, so if they like piss their pants, it's gonna like freeze." And like I think that's what happened to him, and like the whole back of his legs were all burnt and like from that because it froze on him. So I was like, "That's fucking gnarly!" Like
that is gnarly, dude. But also too, it shows a lot of what it takes to be an aviator. The amount of technical knowledge you need to have about the plane, and then the navigator was like doing math and like using.
That was crazy. He's literally like, for me, I don't know how it works, but he's like, "Where we at?" And he's like looking out the window. Yes. Looks at a map that like never changes because it's like an old school. It's just like a protractor. So. 2 clicks. I'm like, how the fuck does he know that? Like, I mean, granted, I'm sure they're trained and stuff, but I just could not imagine. That's like seems like such a crazy job to be a navigator on those old planes. Like, and he's like in the middle of the plane, just looking out 2 windows and trying to calculate where they're at and when to turn and whatnot. It's fucking crazy. And I think Drake froze again. So that's quite all right. Overall, though, this show is really good. I strongly recommend it. Trigger warning. if you need it. It is they show every aspect of it. I guess they really wanted to make. There's literally a part where gunfire comes in through the cockpit and like it shoots one of the dude's jaws off, and I was like, wow, I didn't think they were going to show that. Like that was bananas. But other than that, it's really good. I believe it's was it Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks bringing this to us. I think they're crushing it. And I can't wait for more of this. And I think that's all we have for the episode. And there is Drake's coming back. I see a little dots.
Trifecta technical difficulties times
Third
3.
time's the charm. All right. Well, I can't think of anything else to say about this show. This show's amazing, and I recommend everyone check it out.
Agreed. It is kind of the Game of Thrones of right now in terms of like the scope and like you said, cinematography, casting, et cetera, et cetera. So please, if at anything, check it out. But yeah, Scott, like we talked about, nothing more to say. What should we do now?
We should probably wrap it up.
We'll wrap it up. All right.
We can wrap it up.
We'll tie a bow on it. Hey guys, remember, please like and subscribe on whatever platform you frequent. Thank you for hanging around with Scott, Thomas, and I, Drake. Remember, Thomas is going to be doing some Surge next week, and we'll be back early February. So we'll all keep him in mind and wish him a speedy recovery. So we can talk about all the things we're talking about, but in a trifecta, because that's kind of how we started, and that kind of works the best, even though Scott and I are doing really well. We want to see Thomas back in the fold. So it's time for the thing that we do the best, Scott. We say it together.
Yep, count 3. 1, 2, 3. Thanks for sticking it with us.
Thanks for sticking it with us.
The Joystick Show.
If you've enjoyed what you've been listening to, we'd really appreciate a follow, subscribe, and a review. Just how we like chatting with our friends, please share this with yours. Feel free to join the squad and follow us at JoyStickShow Joystick Show on Twitter and Instagram, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you feel like submitting topics or questions to be discussed on future episodes, you can email us at joystick.show@gmail.com. As always, thank you, peace out, and make it a great rest of your week.